Hello everybody. Before I start the video for today, I just want to give shout outs to Leo Laniker, Rachel Megan, Pamela, Fairy Tales Come True, Katie Warman's Movie Nightmares and Cats, Sylvia Nichols, Erin Alexander, Pokemon BB. Please forgive me if I pronounced any of those names incorrectly. But thanks for becoming a dark one. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys have channels of your own, please just write in the comment section I subscribed so that I can subscribe back to you. And I do appreciate it because YouTube, they basically said it would take a while for me to get 1,000 subscribers due to my content and due to the section that I would be on YouTube, because it's not, celebrity gossip and comedy stuff. It's a little dark and, people act like things like this don't exist, but it does. And people need to know that. So thanks again for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. And unfortunately, here's a story about a child, so viewer discretion is advised. This is coming out of Houston, Texas, November 2020. Gloria Yvette Williams, 36 years old, was the mother of 6 children. 2 of them had already gone to live with relatives. One, as young as 2 weeks old, a little baby girl, went to live with a relative. But 4 of them now were residing in her custody and with her. They ranged from the ages of 8 years old to 17 years old at that time. Gloria would meet and fall in love with Brayn W. Coulter. He was 32 years old at that time. She was just head over heels for him. They would post pictures on social media for the world to see that they were an item, they were happy together, and Brayn would post photos on his social media platforms concerning Gloria and her children, I believe. It stood for FOE, Family Over Everything, FOE. He referred to Gloria on Instagram as his wife because his actual family says that he had been estranged with them for quite some time. So FOE, again, I'm thinking it's because of Gloria and her children. Before I tell you more about this love affair with Gloria and Brayn, I do have to bring you back just a little bit. Gloria and her then boyfriend, who was the father of her 3 sons, his name is Courtney Lee. They had grown apart as a couple in 2012, and so they decided to go their separate ways. Jordan, 15, Trayvon, 10, and Kendrick, 8 years old, all stayed with their mother in Houston, Texas, and Courtney would move to Louisiana. Now, Courtney and Gloria, they were still cordial to each other. They had 3 sons together. And Courtney says that he saw his children every weekend, and he said that he enjoyed the time that he shared with his boys. In 2017, Gloria wanted to rekindle their relationship, but he declined. He was engaged to another woman. He also wanted his sons to be a part of his wedding party. He said Gloria did not like this, and she did become a little angry. She stopped associating with him, blocked his number, blocked him on social media. And he didn't even get to see the children after that because she just disappeared. Courtney said he couldn't find her. And he believes it's because, he was marrying somebody else and he wanted the children in his wedding. Gloria had fell upon hard times with her children, and a family member offered to help. She had even became homeless at one point, and she was living in a shelter. A bright light appeared around this time, and that's when she would meet Daryl Towner. And they would actually become man and wife. Daryl Towner had even posted on his Facebook page, quote, "Hello, God's people. I have a testimony. After losing my house and being in hotels for a month, I finally got a roof over my wife and kids' heads," end quote. And he posted a picture of a very beautiful house. I mean, really nice. Through his posting, you could tell that he was a man of God. And he looked like he knew it was going to be hard work to help Gloria raise these children. He enjoyed doing this, and he enjoyed his family life with Gloria and helping her raise the children. And some of the family members said he even had grown attached to Gloria's children as well. Daryl, he passed away. I don't know from what, I don't know how, but unfortunately, this man passed away. Gloria would reach out on Facebook to Courtney's now wife, Dion. She told her that her husband had died. Dion asked, did she need any help with the children? She figured that she would, since Daryl had passed away. She left her cell phone for Gloria to call, but Gloria never called. Matter of fact, she never responded, and she even blocked Gloria on social media as well. Gloria and her children now were staying at the West Oak Apartments with her new love interest, Brayn. Now, Brayn was a special type of person. You know what? Just look for yourself.
Hey man, check this. I really ain't had time to get on this motherfucker, man. Apparently, I'm still trying to figure out how to work the Instagram and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, first of all, let me say this. My motherfucking wife, oh, yeah, see, y'all ain't, yeah, I ain't doing this to stunt y'all, look, man. Shit, but shit. Oh man. Nah, I'm fixing it right now. And so, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We don't. But I gotta go see my children tomorrow. I'll tell you. I'm saying, all that good shit, y'all wanna do some flawless and nigga. I ain't no nigga in Houston got this chain. I ain't no nigga in Houston except for, you know what, except for Mike Jones. You know what, Mike Jones ain't even got this chain. I'm the only nigga in Houston with this chain, with these two chains. You understand? So y'all motherfuckers don't be bopping off my shit. You understand? This hoe, I ain't gonna lie. This hoe right here, man. This hoe was a lot of money. This hoe was like 30,000.
Brayn, he really seemed to be living the life at Gloria's, as you can see. I did have to edit some of the music out for copyright infringement purposes, and in all of, or most of Brayn's videos, he always has music, some type of rap music, you know, playing in the background. He had, at around this time, become very violent towards Gloria's children. When Gloria's 17-year-old daughter, who's staying in the home, tried to defend her younger brothers, she actually put her daughter out the home. And that 17-year-old would go to stay with relatives. So now Gloria and Brayn was there with the three boys. And those were Courtney Lee's sons. Brayn was pretty much blatantly drunk in most of these videos that I can actually stomach watching. And they are all on Instagram. They're still there. I just looked today and they're still there. Though he posted about what he thought was lavish pictures of pho at the dining table with plates of food, the children were actually nearby and starving. In some of these videos, he burps, and Gloria and him discuss many types of steak that there are. And Brayn actually says the best steak is in prison. And it's terrible because the children are actually nearby, sitting on the floor up against the wall, and you're just looking as he's just eating and talking, and they're just watching this.
Look at my motherfucking plate.
He basically is just talking about his plate, how good it looks, the wife cooked it, how people weren't blessed to have this food. Pretty much 90% of his videos is food. And him and Gloria speaking about food and the gifts that Gloria has purchased him. That's pretty much the gist of all these videos. Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson is ironically playing. And the children right there. The children are right there, and they are watching this. And I don't know if he does it on purpose, but you see the camera go over there. It's a very dirty floor, dirty carpet, and he continues to eat, and they discuss food.
There's different types of steaks. Ribeye steak, Tony Hawk steak, thin ass steak.
And you could clearly hear Gloria Williams' voice in the background. She's talking about steak. If you ever watched the movie Forrest Gump, remember when Bubba was talking about the different kind of shrimp there is? That's kind of how she sounds to me. These people, that's all they talked. 99% of these videos ranged around food and ranged around the gifts that she gave Brayn. I mean, I couldn't even watch too many of them because I hated hearing his voice, and she's always off in the background, just saying whatever. Now, Brayn was arrested within the year 2020. Brayn was arrested for being high at Buc-ee's. I believe that's a restaurant, I'm assuming. It's a restaurant in Texas. And he was high at this restaurant. And he also was brandishing a loaded gun. And he was with Gloria at the time, but the children were not with this couple. Brayn did ended up being arrested, and he did serve 6 days in jail, and that case was still pending. He actually bonded out, and I believe it was Gloria who was the one that had bonded him out, because remember, he is estranged from his family. Now, around Thanksgiving of 2020, Brayn and his violent actions would cause trauma throughout the whole entire family that would last forever. Trayvon and Kendrick were being beaten in the other room. Jordan, the oldest brother, who I believe was 15 years old at the time, he could hear it. He went and told his mother about it. She said that she would do something about it. She said that she would talk to Brayn, but in Jordan's own words, quote, "That never worked," end quote. I believe Jordan really wanted to do something about it. I don't think he was afraid of Brayn. I think that he was afraid he was going to get thrown out the house like Gloria had just did previously to his sister. Trayvon witnessed this with his own eyes, and that's the younger boy. I believe he was around maybe 10 or 11 at this time. Trayvon witnessed with his own eyes one night Brayn was slapping Kendrick in the face. He was striking him over and over again. He pushed Kendrick. He started to kick Kendrick everywhere. On his legs, his testicles, his groin area, his stomach, his head, just everywhere. Just repeatedly kicking and kicking him. Trevor watched as Kendrick's eyes became black and he stopped blinking. Then Brayn put a blanket over Kendrick and left. Shortly after that, Gloria came running in the room and she saw Kendrick was lying underneath the blanket, and she began crying. She told Trayvon to leave the bedroom. She and Brayn, they physically started to fight each other. Yet, Kendrick's body remained there for the rest of the night. Actually, Kendrick's body remained there for 11 more months. Trayvon said his body turned into a skeleton. His hair was off. He said roaches was all over his body. Trayvon now was a target of more abuse. I pretty much think right now he didn't, well, I don't know, he might have, but it doesn't say that he assaulted the 15-year-old too much. I think he knew he might have a run for his money, had he. Brayn would drink beers, and Trayvon said when Brayn drank these beers, that he became stronger. And that was in the court records. The day of this tragic event, now Gloria says that she heard Brayn beating her son, and she went in the room and she stopped it. And she said Brayn apologized. And the next morning she went in there and she saw her son dead. Brayn said he had lost it, and he covered him up with a blanket because he thought that Kendrick was asleep. So by this time she knew that her son was dead. She knew that Brayn had killed her son, but he begged her not to tell. He didn't want to go to prison. I mean, why not, Brayn? They serve really good steaks there. She thought that all her children would be taken away from her. Remember, 2 was already out of her custody. She threw 1 out for trying to protect her siblings. So she was only left with the 2 now, because Brayn had killed 1. And she didn't want those 2 to be taken away from her. So, what does Gloria and Brayn do? They move out together, and they left the children in the home. There were 2 different apartments. One fully furnished that contained Gloria and Brayn, and the other one that they had left that contained the remains of her little 8-year-old son that was murdered. Gloria would use over $2,000 that she got in government assistance and disability checks for her children. Now, in some articles I've read, it says that she has 2 autistic sons, and those were the ones that were receiving the disability checks. Now, in another article I read, the 17-year-old girl who had left the home got a disability check, and the boy that was abused and murdered had got a disability check. Now, Kendrick also, he was autistic. He was nonverbal as well. This is who this man beat to death, an autistic child who was nonverbal. I mean, what was this child doing? As if any child deserves to be beaten to death. But what was this child doing that was nonverbal that would make you beat him to death? Just awful. But Gloria had enough money to maintain both apartments. I'm speculating. I really don't think that Brayn did too much to bring money into the home. I don't know. I just think that. I could be really wrong. I don't like him. I just think he didn't really bring too much money into the home. He just brought a whole lot of problems into the home. Gloria left her children and went with this man. She left her children to fend for themselves. And I blame Gloria 100% for that. Leaving your kids in an apartment like they're grown, like the 15-year-old could take care of, his brother and a deceased. I mean, you left your children in an apartment with a corpse. I mean, what can you say? What can you say? Terrible. Jordan finally had enough. He finally had enough. They were living in this house alone. They became extremely thin. They were malnourished. They were hungry. They had been living alone for months. The house to this point now was unfurnished. So when she left, she took the furniture. The carpet was soiled. There were flies everywhere. There were roaches everywhere. And this is where she left her children. Trevor had been beaten previously by Brayn, and his jaw had become infected and swollen. And again, the remains of Kendrick was still there. Jordan decided he would use a neighbor's cell phone and he would call the police. The police did arrive. They fed the children. Now, they fed the children donuts. But believe it or not, that was a happy moment. I believe the kids actually asked for donuts. And the police made a joke like, yeah, everybody thinks cops eat donuts. And they do. But he made a joke about it. But he said that, the kids ate after they were rescued and they received medical attention. And Trevor had to actually have surgery because his mouth was so messed up. Can you imagine being in pain like that for a month? The physical pain of your mouth, being in pain like that for almost a year. And your mother doesn't even care because she's off with dude in another apartment. Oh my goodness. Gloria and Brayn were found. And they were actually found at a library in Houston, and they were looking up the case online. So the two of them were sitting there looking at what people were saying about them, what was going on with the situation. They were looking it up at the library when they were arrested. Gloria's family hadn't even knew that she lived in that apartment complex. And then when they did finally come there, they didn't know what unit she actually lived in because every time she would only call when she needed something. They would drive over there to bring her the money or whatever she asked for, and she would be downstairs. And I believe sometimes even Brayn was downstairs, but they never knew exactly the number that she lived in. They said that her phone was always off. She always had different numbers, so they couldn't even get really in contact with her. They would ask how the children was, and she would say, oh, they were in school, but they weren't. For over a year, these children weren't even in school. Terrible. A relative had even offered to take Kendrick when he was younger because, the situation of him being autistic, she just thought that it would help. It would help because she had other kids and maybe it would lessen the load, but she just didn't give up the custody of Kendrick. Gloria Williams apologized from jail to a news reporter. The news reporter did an interview through KHOU2. And she told him that she didn't know that her son was dead. Court records say otherwise. They say that she altered, destroyed, and concealed the body. How do you not know that your child is not dead, even if you're not there for a year? How do you not know on the 2 weeks? Yep, she would come and check on them every 2 weeks. So when you're coming and checking on them and bringing them potato chips and candy bars and a 2-liter soda every 2 weeks, you only see the oldest son and you see Trevon with his swollen mouth. Don't you ask where Kendrick is? But she's claiming she didn't know. She knew. She knew damn well. But it's believed that, Well, she wants you, rather, to believe that she didn't know that any of this was going on. Meanwhile, Brian's bragging about how good her cooking is and how he's wearing a $30,000 chain around his neck. But she didn't know that this was going on and that her kids was losing tremendous weight. And they were in agony in that apartment. But she didn't know anything that was going on. She left them with nothing. They said there were no blankets even in the apartment except the one blanket that was concealing Kendrick's body. Gloria's bond had started at $900,000. Then it increased to $1 million. Then it increased to $1.5 million. The prosecutors want to make sure that if she did get out of jail, she will never go near these children again. Brian's bail was $1 million, and the courts say that they might be seeking the death penalty on him. Sounds good to me. He should get death and she should get life. Sounds good to me. She should get life in prison. The father of Kendrick and his 2 remaining sons, he says he does plan to get back in his children's life. He knows that they need extensive therapy. And I believe that they are in the care of the state right now. He does say he never ever wants to see or talk to Gloria again. Kendrick, this cute little boy, autistic, can't even speak, was kicked to death by his mother's boyfriend. And the only thing that she can do is go and set up an apartment with him and occasionally throw her children some chips and a soda to barely keep them alive. That's what she did. At first, I thought, this is a woman that did anything for love. But no, this is a woman that wanted to continue getting those benefits. When she met this man, she could care less about those children by the way she treated them. Justice for Kendrick. Justice for Trayvon, who is alive. Justice for Jordan, who is alive. And justice for that 17-year-old girl who was thrown out for trying to protect her brothers. They all deserve justice. Rest in peace, Kendrick.
You know what I'm saying? How y'all doing?
Oh, I know.
What?
Steak and broccoli and cheese and shrimp and mashed potatoes.
Now we ain't gonna do those shrimp. We gonna do steak, broccoli and cheese. I already nobody else broccoli and cheese. How y'all doing today? You know what I'm saying? I got on here to say some shit, so just hold on, let me just finish talking to my wife about some shit. I want some steak, broccoli and cheese. And I mean, shit, if you want to do mashed potatoes, cool.
I don't eat mashed potatoes. I know, because I know you like mashed potatoes.
Woman, look here now. You asking me to name the stuff.
First of all, is you asked me, not asked me.
Man, look here, man. I'm talking about these old white folks shit.
Niggas need to speak proper grammar. It's not asked.
Look at mine. Yeah, smoking some weed to put you in the mood.
I can't. And I'm looking for a job, so you can't do that to me now.
We always look. Everybody looking for jobs, employment. Look, man. Matter of fact, bring me to my next. Reason why I got on this motherfucker, man. Look, man. Hey, man. Look at what the wife done about me. Hey, nigga. Seeds up, nigga. Anyway.
You said make a right on this and that, right?
Yeah.
I made a right on this.
Yeah, missing it, yeah. Now, check this out, man. For all you employees out there, ladies and gentlemen, you understand? Children of all ages, please listen up. It's family of everything, CEO. Wait, matter of fact, I'm gonna make you understand, bro. Look. CEO, you understand? I mean, that's my wedding ring right there. But I'm talking about this house. I can't really see that bitch. Cause I'm in the motherfucking car, a moving vehicle, actually, you know, like these niggas like to post up and do this and the other. Like, a nigga got shit to do. You know what I'm saying? Look, kickback, you know what I'm saying? Blue flag all day. You feel me? And cruising in the West, man. I'm in the West, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas looking for me, man. I'm in the West.